Hey, welcome to another episode of Kahnversations. My name is Ryan Bailey. I would say really quick up top. I'm going to say it again, really quick up top. If you are interested in finding more about Leslie Kahn and Company, please go to our website at lesliekahn.com. You can give us a call at 323-969-9900. We do classes, we do coaching, we can put you on tape, pretty much everything that you need as an actor in Los Angeles. And thanks so much, guys, for listening. It's crazy that the numbers keep going up. We really appreciate it. I asked you this last time, but please, if you can, write a review on iTunes. It really does help with our placement on there. If you hate the show, don't write a review. That would be horrible for us. So only if you like the show. Only if you like that, then write a review. Today, I'm really excited to have somebody that kind of did what us as actors and creators kind of dream of. That they actually took an idea with their friends and actually created a show that's on right now called Teachers on TV Land. Katy Colloton, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, no, thank you for having me.
So your second season is still airing right now, and you're going to start filming third season, or you're writing the third season right now?
We're about to start writing season 3 in like a week.
Wow, and you're an executive producer on the show, right?
Yes.
And so you're in the writer's room. You guys all write this together.
Yeah, it's all 6 of us. There's 6 Katydids, and we write, produce, act. We do the post-production.
Now, explain what the Katydids are to people.
Right. Well, the Katydids started as an improv group in Chicago. We were all going through classes at Second City and IO.
And how long ago was this?
We've been together 8 years, so I'd have to do math. Like, it was around 2008, 2009 that we were all in Chicago going through classes.
Were you all in like the same level of classes and moved up, or?
No, some of us, like technically the group was formed by Caitlin Barlow. She's one of the Katydids, and she knew kind of all of us, but we didn't all know each other before we formed. But we were like in similar places in the community. And yeah, we were all doing different things, and Caitlin wanted to do a show just for fun, like an all-female group, and she knew so many people named Katy, and technically I think it was like maybe she thought we were all Irish. We're not, but, but maybe there was like an element to that.
It was, you had to be talented, but you also had to have like some kind of variation of the name Katy.
Yeah.
Did anybody lie in the group? And like, there's no Samantha
Beth
that said like, I'm Katy.
Yeah, there's no Beth. And it was really organic how we started. We just did one show. It was super fun. It was intended to just be one show, but we had so much fun that we started to just do one show a month at this theater called the Playground Theater. Mm-hmm. And then that was so much fun that we got a run at another theater called Studio B, and it was just a 6-week run with another all-male group. And then from that, we got offered a slot at IO, and then kind of went from there.
And so Katy, you were doing all sketches, right?
This was all just improv.
Oh, just improv, okay.
Just improv, yeah.
And then did the idea for Teachers spawn off of an improv? Like,
No. Everything is like really, it was just, anything I've like tried to plan to do has never gone my way.
That seems to be the exact, like you cannot plan anything.
It because everything about it, we started as an improv group. It was just supposed to be for fun. People weren't coming to our IO shows, so we started doing videos to get people there. It was just purely for promotion.
And this was still in Chicago.
And this is all in Chicago. Okay. And then our videos started doing better than our improv shows, because they were just sketches, one-off sketches, but they started doing really well. So that made us say, like, maybe we should do a sketch show. And then from that sketch show, we were like, maybe we should do a web series. So, and then the idea of Teachers came from Matt Miller, who was a casting director and director in Chicago at the time, who just had sat us down and said he wanted to work with us and he'd be interested in directing a web series. And he threw out the idea of Teachers because we all look like elementary school teachers.
That's crazy.
We all look like we shouldn't be in comedy and that we shouldn't be funny.
That's great. That's it. Wait, so now to back it up, are you from Chicago? Where are you from?
No, I'm from Kansas.
I'm from Kansas too. Olathe, Kansas.
Oh, I'm from Oakland Park.
Oh my gosh, it's right. Oak Park Mall. You're right there. Yeah. That's crazy.
That's
I know
funny.
That's so funny. We got to end the show. I'm so blown away right now. So you came from Kansas, and then why did you move to Chicago?
I moved to Chicago to do theater. I was a theater and psychology major at Vanderbilt, and I never intended to pursue it, but I thought I'd give myself like 1 or 2 fun years.
Oh, you went to Vanderbilt?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I went to ASU. Like, we're so similar.
Oh
the stories are just really lining up here. So wait, you said you'd give yourself a year or two?
Yeah, like I was a theater major, but it was all like classical theater, and I thought maybe I'd want to be a playwright or do some plays. They have like a great non-equity theater community in Chicago, and I got an internship at the Goodman, which is a
I,
theater there.
now this is gonna freak you out. I interned at the Goodman and
you really?
Steppenwolf. Yeah, because I
really?
taught at the Cherub program over at Northwestern.
Oh yeah. What
for
internship did you do?
This is now like 15, 16 years.
Yeah, well, mine's a long time ago,
So long
'Cause
ago that because it was like I was teaching there, and my buddy was at the Art Institute of Chicago, and I was doing
That's
weird
so
performance art
funny.
pieces around town with him.
Oh,
where it
yes.
was like
Very familiar
it was
with that
Like
scene.
nobody watched TV. It was like the worst summer of my life. It was so humid, and I was working at the Goodman and then working at Steppenwolf,
that's
and I
so
was
cool.
so you gave yourself those 2 years. You were doing
to
classic
just,
theater.
Like I did a casting internship at the Goodman, so it's not like I wanted to be a casting director, but I just figured it was a way to get in there. And then
and so in no part of your mind are you ever like, this is the end goal at all, I'll be on TV one day.
No.
Nothing.
I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could have like one line in a Goodman play?
I mean, by the way, that would be huge. That would
huge.
be
That still would be huge. I would die to be in a play at the Goodman. So, or Steppenwolf.
Because I was there right before they did that Death of a Salesman with Brian Dennehy.
Yes.
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
I was there when they were doing, it was Arthur Miller's last play, I think, before.
Wow.
Maybe not his last one, but close to last before he passed away. But yeah, so I just moved there. Same thing of like, I was big into performance art or guerrilla theater.
Yeah.
You know the whole theater scene where you're like going to make a difference with your artwork.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of crazy because you would have these, I mean, there was so much theater going on that and then also weird performance art things. But you could go see Gary Cole do like a tiny theater, and I remember watching Laurie Metcalf at one of the black boxes at Steppenwolf do this show Pop Mom that I was just blown away by how good she was. But it was kind of amazing. And there's actually a lot of actors here like Amy Landecker that comes from Chicago. So you were doing this. Did you fall in love with it?
Yeah, well, it's really hard in Chicago. I mean, I auditioned a ton, got like very little, but then while doing that, saw a gentleman I went on a date with, took me to see a show at I.O., and saw TJ Miller and Susan Messing, who are like the best improvisers. I don't know.
TJ Miller.
No, sorry. I was not TJ Miller, TJ Jagodowski.
Okay, yes.
TJ Jagodowski, but those are like in Chicago, kind of like improv gods.
Yeah,
They're the best of the craft. And so I saw that, was like, that's the most amazing thing, and started taking classes at Second City.
Did you have any kind of, sometimes there's a little bit of a, like an attitude of with improvisers and actors, there's like kind of like an East Coast,
judgment?
West. Yeah, there's like a judgment of like, you're going to do improv? Like, did you feel that at all, or was it all just kind of one big universe for you?
No, because I just felt fear. Because it's scary. Like, everything I do starts with, I'm terrified to do it, but I have to do it.
Have you always been like that?
I guess, yeah, because even like, I always did theater as a kid, but I was scared. Like, I would shake during performances, I never was super confident in my abilities. It was just that I loved it.
Are you still the same way?
Like, now I don't have nerves. Like, once I do something, I'm no longer nervous to do improv. I was super nervous the first season of Teachers, but now I'm not. It's like.
What about auditioning?
It depends. It depends if I really want it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm jumping around. I'm just curious.
But that's what helps. I feel like Leslie Kahn's helped me a lot with that, because the first couple auditions I did when I moved to LA, were just nightmares. Where it's like I was just so nervous, and I talk fast naturally. If I'm nervous, it's like a speed train.
Yeah, like I just say, there's so many horrible, like when you first start auditioning, you're just looking for somebody to be nice to you.
Yeah.
And you're looking to do good, but then there's also that thing in the back of your head of like, whoa, like I could potentially be a lead on Friends. Like it's like you have this bizarre, you're like not even thinking about the part. You're literally thinking about like 10 steps from.
This could change my life forever.
Or like this person hates me, like this person, and you just start saying bizarre things. I remember I cursed in an audition once, like as part of like my like small talk in the beginning. I was like, well, shit happens. And I was like, did you just curse? Like that was, I don't know.
It's terrifying.
That was 8 or 9 years ago in Chicago though, right?
Yeah, I moved here 4 years ago. But yeah, I was in Chicago 8 years.
You lived there for 8 years.
I lived there for 8 years doing like everything you can do there. I got deep into the improv scene, sketch. I was doing improv like 6-7 nights a week. Yeah, I completely.
I like when you say deep in the improv scene, you almost think of it. It's like a drug addict. Like I got really into meth.
It's been so bizarre living in LA because my whole like 20s, I guess, was in the improv scene in Chicago where I like lived and breathed improv all the time. That's your community, that's your friends, that's all
Yeah,
you do.
that's, I mean,
and you're doing it for the art, and you're trying to
well, because most of the improv, I mean, and I did improv a bunch out here, and it was like you're performing for like 8 people, and
Right.
it's usually
Oh.
other improvisers,
Yep.
and it's a really painful process.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're, like, if you're doing good. I mean,
Oh,
like,
for sure.
like, I've never, I mean, if you really want to experience pain and growth, I mean, improv is the way to go. And if you don't give up, I mean,
Yeah.
you really do see people grow in that process.
Oh yeah, you have so many bad shows and they're so humiliating, and you go home and you cry, and then I don't know why you keep doing it, but I did.
Especially like before the end, before you die, I feel like all the improv shows that you invited people like to are gonna like pass before your eyes, because it just like it's just like so many, like I just
Yeah.
there was that like 5-year period where I was doing improv, and just like inviting people on Facebook was painful, and you're just like, is it gonna be good? Like, I really have zero
hit
clue.
or miss.
Yeah.
Probably not, actually.
Yeah, no,
Probably
it's
not.
like
It's probably
good.
gonna.
So come
good
enjoy at
chance.
11 o'clock on a Thursday night,
Good
please.
chance. And I did a lot of sketch shows, and I did a one-woman show. So yeah, you start to become. I hated being that person that like what you're asking your friends to do is repeatedly support you. Like you're
Yeah.
repeatedly saying, please come, I need you.
You're just going to that well again and
Yeah,
again.
and you're like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm giving back.
And you're like, eventually I'm gonna have to hit you up for a GoFundMe at some point too, for like a project a dream project of mine.
Right. It's hard.
But you felt yourself getting better in that process.
Yeah, and I fell in love, and that's so I went to Chicago to do like straight theater and to do kind of serious stuff, and then like within 2 years abandoned all of that.
Yeah.
And just fully was in the comedy scene and loved it. I loved my time in Chicago. It was so fun.
And what did you do as a normal job on top of that?
I worked as I did insurance billing for a durable medical equipment supply company.
Perfect. Yes.
So
Great.
it's really great. But it was a perfect job. It was a weird office. There was 3 people in my total office, and our boss would stop by like twice a week. So the amount of freedom you have, if that's where I wrote my sketches, that's where I wrote my one-woman show. That's where like I put together my SNL audition. So it was like a good, even though it was horribly boring, it was a great day job, because it wasn't someone like over my shoulder. I had to do this horrible job 8 hours a day. I would do it for like 2 hours, and then
That's great. That's so
Then
find
G-chat.
yourself a job like that, because that will help. And then so you were doing these things, and you were already doing like deep into the improv community, and you met the other Katys,
the
right?
Katys. Yeah, and they were they were all.
And
kind
how many
doing
of
the
them
same
are
thing.
you?
There's
How many
6
of
of us.
6 of you
There's
guys?
6 of us, and it's 3 Katys, 2 Kates, and a Caitlin.
So is it like Menudo, like where like you're getting replaced all the time, or are you guys the same 6 that have like kind of stayed?
It's been the same 6 all 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and we did runs. It's funny. There's so many. Clearly, we were all born in the '80s. There's so many women named Katy or Kate or Catherine in the improv community that we did. I think a 3-month run where every Friday night we had a different Katy, Kate, or Caitlin sit in with us. Meaning there's 6 of us, and there's so many women. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
It was
totally
like,
do.
Clearly,
Yeah.
that's the name. If
I
you
just
were
like that
born in
little
the
girls in
80s.
Chicago at a certain point were wanting to join the Katydids and hoping their name was Katy.
Yeah.
So, these things always fascinate me, because you don't really know that the tide is turning until after it's turned. Like, you can't
Right.
really usually feel success.
No, like I
You-
thought, kind of actually, teachers came right at the right point for me, which is what I think a lot of people say when they have success is like, it was kind of a point where I was considering leaving. Like that in Chicago, I never had any ambitions to move to LA. That was never the plan. I for sure wanted to be successful. So like I auditioned for SNL when they came to town, and would
How did that
audition
go?
It went okay. I did get flown to New York.
Oh,
but then-
wow, that's a huge. That's huge.
But then completely bombed that one.
So you were on the stage. You got to the point where you were on the stage,
no, sadly,
or
my fly out was that they flew out. Like it was like the time Kate McKinnon got hired, and
Gotcha.
they flew out a bunch of us and put us up at the pit. They wanted us to do our pieces at the pit, and like Lauren and Seth were in the audience to see audience reaction. But it was filled with New York people, so all the New York people auditioning got huge laughter, and everyone else got complete silence.
wow. Gosh.
But it was a good lesson of you can't. It for sure rattled me. Like even though I saw the girl before me get complete silence, which should have made you feel like no matter what, I'll go out there and do it. It did not. I went out there when I didn't get my first laugh, completely unraveled. And I mean, I did my audition, but it's one of those you walk away going, huh, I'm not even sure if I did a British accent when I was doing my Kate Middleton.
Yeah, like that's like, am I in my body? Like I
It's like,
know
I'm not
I went
sure.
through the motions.
I know I did it, but the entire time I remember thinking, oh God, this sucks, which means,
I'm just,
it
I
means
love.
you're not present. It means you're
No,
not doing
that's
well.
what we talk about all the time. You're
It
not.
means
You're thinking bad actor thoughts, not good actor thoughts.
For sure. So it was one of those where I walked away going like, okay, probably didn't get it.
Did you know where Lauren was in the audience?
Yeah, and I just didn't look at him. And what's funny is I'm a huge Gossip Girl fan. I don't want to talk about it. It's humiliating.
No, I know Gossip
Girl. But in
Girl,
front
yeah.
row was the woman who plays Dorita, the maid.
Yeah.
Blair's maid. And I remember just made eye contact with her the whole time. Because it was I felt like a friend.
Yes, totally.
I knew who she was.
That's oh gosh, that's amazing. So, how do you deal with? Because as actors, it's just rejection is really part of the game, unfortunately.
Right.
How did you deal with that rejection up to that point? Would you go home and would it always be screw this, I'm never doing this again? Or was it no, that was a cool experience, it sucked, but.
Yeah, well, it came at a time because I technically, kind of had 2 shots at it, only flew to New York once, but yeah, at the time I worked for a year on my audition in the hopes to get that.
Wow, you put that much?
I met with this guy, Tim Baltz, who's now an actor out here, once a week, and we would do characters back and forth at each other. And it was because I wanted to do a one-woman show, but also in the back of my head, I was like, I know that
case.
I can also use this because there was other things coming to town, Mad TV, or I can't remember. There was a lot of stuff that came to town that asked for 5 minutes of 3 impressions and 3 characters. So it was it wasn't just SNL. I can't remember now what else. But
so
there
you
would
wanted
be
to have that
4
in your
or 5
back.
things just for laughs.
Yeah.
Come to town, so you would want that. So I worked on it for a year, and then SNL came, and then I got flown out, and then I didn't get it, but I felt okay, I can do this. It gave me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
But then I had a bunch of life stuff happen that kind of hit at the same time. So then I prepared because they were we'll want to see you again. So then I wrote my one-woman show and put it up. And
wait, after you bombed the SNL audition, they wanted to see you again?
they were oh, you'll get another shot at it. We're casting someone right now, but they're always casting. So I was okay.
So it wasn't hard no.
Never again. So I wrote. I already had it written, but I put up my one-woman show and then brought it to New York, and one of them came and saw it. But it was during the time, Leslie is, I remember an intensive. I can't remember exactly what she said.
So intensive is, guys, the first class you usually take here. So it's
Yes.
usually where the kind of introduction to what we do here. you know?
Yes, and I remember what she was saying. She got up and she was you need to be so prepared so nothing ever
Rattles
throws
you,
you.
yeah.
And I remember thinking that would have been so great to know a couple years ago because I had in the same week. My boyfriend broke up with me, my dog died, and I got diagnosed with some health issues. And then, in the same basic week, and then did my show in New York. And it was I'm not joking, I was crying before I went on stage. As soon as I got off stage, within
That's
an
what
hour,
comedy
I was
is.
crying.
It's fun.
And, it was one of those, again, I think I did fine, and I don't think, that's the reason I didn't get it. I don't think I should have gotten SNL. But it was, it's funny to hear Leslie say, you have to be so prepared and so good so that when life stuff will always happen, you'll always have something that might make you cry, and you have to be able to still go on. It was good because during that time, kind of a bunch of life family issues hit, and I had a bunch of opportunities come from the SNL audition. I didn't get SNL, but then, managements want to see me. All this stuff was happening at a time when I was really depressed.
Yeah.
And I felt like I bombed all of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? So
oh, yeah.
it was because I don't think no one had kind of told me you have to separate it. You have to be so good that it doesn't matter what's happening in your personal life.
Because you can't really ever go, well, it's just really unfair, you guys. You don't understand what I'm going through. So if you could really take that into account. Because I think, in the end, I'm going to be great. So if you could take into account what I'm going through, because you don't get to fill anybody in. And also, unfortunately, nobody cares.
No one cares. And that could happen while you were doing whatever you're getting cast as. Now I'm doing teachers. Life stuff will happen that, will upset you. And you have to still go to work, and you have to still act all day for 12 hours. And you can't be yeah, but this happened.
Yeah, you guys, we're going to have to call a day. And I don't, yeah. But
So it's good. I'm not saying I know how to do it, but it was, I never had anyone kind of like I definitely felt sorry for myself during that time versus
Yeah.
realizing like, no, I didn't have to bomb any of that if I'd like been able to like emotionally separate it instead of just being like, yeah, but this is hard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that's such a great. I always say I've talked about this a lot. As like obliviousness is a great gift for actors. Like people that are completely oblivious to the rooms they're going into. Like sometimes it
Yeah.
helps. Like I'm painfully aware of like I'm a huge TV and film fan, so I'll go in and I'll be like, oh, I know that's the director of this and this, and it'll
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
shake
it
me.
psychs you. It
Like
psychs you out.
obliviousness, but also like being able to segment. Personal stuff from professional stuff. I know people that are really good at compartmentalizing,
Yeah.
and that's such an amazing gift and a lesson to be able to do. You
Right.
know, so you were doing all. So what was the thing that brought you to LA after 8 years in Chicago? Was it the Katydids?
So it was. So my point in all of that, sorry, that was a
No,
roundabout way
please,
to say is
this-
that I was kind of like, after that, I felt like, well, I've done everything I can in Chicago, and I've kind of just went through a round of things that could have taken me out of Chicago and bombed them all. So I don't know what to do. So I ended up moving to LA kind of on a whim. Like I came out here, one of the Katydids was going to move to LA, and she did. And I came out here for 2 months for a pilot season.
And
'Cause
you had people.
I did get a manager
okay.
out of the SNL thing. I got
But did you know how to
Mosaic.
audition
Nope,
for TV or
didn't.
film?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
Every audition I did was horrible, and I didn't know how to audition. And
Did
and,
you know you were doing bad? Because I know you're like,
that's
I
the
did. I
thing.
said the
don't know that
lines. I said the
I
lines.
don't know that I realized how bad until I did. Until luckily, while I was here for pilot season, my friend Jacqueline Zook was here at Leslie Kahn,
Yeah.
and she was like, "You need to take an intensive. You need classes because you're doing sketch,
Yeah.
and you're auditioning for single cam comedies." So I took Leslie Kahn and was like, "Holy shit, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing." But it was so awesome.
Did
that
you
I'm like,
understand what she was teaching at first?
No.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I knew enough to know I didn't understand it, but I knew enough to know
That you
I'm not
didn't know.
doing that. And what I'm doing is really bad.
But see, that's another thing though. Like, see, stuff like that, like, can really throw you though to in a
Yeah.
bad way, where you're like,
Yeah.
you know what, I don't want to do this anymore ever again. But you wanted to keep going. Like, it
Yeah,
was something. There was a
like,
piece of it that,
excited
like,
me.
okay,
It was something,
okay.
It was something new to learn. I think, like, again, it was that idea of like, oh, this is kind of scaring me and this is something new to learn. And either way, but so I moved to LA kind of after 6 weeks of being here for pilot season, just like.
Did you
moved
love
to
LA?
I loved it.
Really?
I needed
Okay.
the change.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
so
a
different
dog.
from Chicago.
Yeah, and I loved the weather. I had a couple good friends that had just moved here. Jacqueline Zook is one of my best friends from college that I hadn't seen, you know, in like, or hadn't been close to in 6 years. And then I have a dog, so like, yes, walking her in a polar vortex in Chicago sucks.
Yeah.
Out here, it's like
Even your dog was like, I really enjoy it out here. This
yeah,
is good.
So I moved here, but we'd already filmed Teachers the web series, and it was being released as I was.
So you filmed it in Chicago.
yeah,
How many
as-
episodes did you film of the web series in
filmed-
Chicago?
24 episodes.
Whoa.
But they're all like they're anywhere from 15 seconds to like I think our longest is 2 minutes. But
Because you can find all your a lot of your videos on. I think you have a YouTube spot,
Yeah.
and then if you type in the Katydids, a lot of things pop up.
yeah, Teachers web series is still a thing. Like it's still there's still that website, and there's
Yeah.
still I think TV Land also has Teachers on TV Land has all of our web series clips
Yeah.
up on TV Land.
Okay.
But they were like the average one is like 45 seconds. We like early. It was again. Like Broad City was out, but a lot of people weren't doing web series. So I remember I like read a book on marketing, and it was saying like you have to get your audience within 1 minute. So that's where we were like, we're gonna only do bits that are 1 minute long.
Which is kind of, I mean, that is the case. The attention
Yeah.
span, like, I mean, I did a web series and it was like, oh, they'll stick with it for 7 minutes. And it's like, you can watch the drop offs if you look at the metrics for
Yeah.
things, you know, and it really is in today's, and this was how many years ago?
Yeah, this was 2012 is when we released it, so 5 years ago.
Yeah. And that was still, I mean, you know, I guess when did like web series really take off? It was like,
It was like the next year.
Yeah.
Like we were like right on that. There was people doing web series, but there weren't a ton.
Which they
Like,
talk about that a lot of, just like not kind of being at the right place at the right time when like a new industry kind of takes off,
Right.
being on the like the forefront of that. Like, because right now, if
Right.
you did a web series, I mean, it's good tape, but it's not. You're not really seeing the deals that you once might have. with
Right.
those
You're
kind of
you're
things.
not it's like everyone's doing a web series
Yeah.
now, so it's harder to stand out. Whereas the
It's like that
time-
or a podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, so, no offense, guys. Yeah, it's,
yeah, but it's like at the time I remember like trying like we had to search to find other web series to watch them to see what other people did. Now it's like there's a million, you know.
Yeah,
so
if you-
so it wasn't like we were the first, but it wasn't everyone doing it.
Yeah, guys, if
It
you
was,
live
like,
in LA and
kinda-
you want to see a web series, just go outside your apartment building and they'll be filming like 3 competitively across the street. So
Yeah.
you did that and you said you were starting to get views even while you were in Chicago?
Yeah, we started to release it. We did like a whole, we're all nerds and like A students. So we like did a whole marketing plan where like we, like I remember I blasted out all 24 episodes every week to like 50 different teacher blogs that I had found. And like after
Yeah.
doing that, I think one week, one time, one of them posted it. But like that one that posted it got us, like 50,000 views. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
So it's like it was tons of like hitting our demographic, sending it, like each Katy did was in charge of like blasting it somewhere or sending a press release with each one. We released them like, I remember Tuesday at 10:30 because someone read in some
Yeah, you
book
have to do it
that Tuesday at 10:30 is when the most people, I don't know if that's true anymore. This
And
was
you have to
5
do it at
years
the
ago.
same time every week.
Yeah, but so there was a whole plan. So we got views and then it was like pretty fast that, I'm trying to think of what picked us, like it was like The Onion asked if they could buy a couple episodes and air them on their site.
Yeah.
And Funny or Die, and then Huffington Post, and like even I think maybe I could get this wrong. I think Perez Hilton. There was like a couple people that picked it up, that posted it, that got us.
And were you? And this is
that-
when
that
you
got
guys were in
us a
Chicago. Were
ton
you
of
kind of
views.
like, holy? I mean, because
Yeah, it was
those things
huge.
when you're like, I mean, those mean something.
Oh yeah, it was like I remember thinking like we've made it.
Yeah, well, I just
Yeah.
I remember like when vision boards were a big thing. I don't know if they still are, but I remember I put like I wanted to be in the Huffington Post or something, and I remember I got interviewed about like a Kardashian thing, and I saw my name in the Huffington Post, and I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I officially made it. Like no, but for me, like it's those little things that you have to like kind of like set your sights
Oh.
on because those actually matter and kind of keep you going in a weird way. But this
Yeah.
is on a different scale.
No, but it's the same idea. Because I remember it was Thanksgiving that Huffington Post posted one of our web series. I remember my whole family like cheering, and I was like screaming.
Yeah, I mean, but by
'Cause
the
it was
way,
so- yeah, it
it's
was so
like hearing your
exciting.
song on the radio. Like not that I do,
Yeah.
but like that's what
Yeah,
what I
it's
read. It's
Same idea. But yeah, and then WME approached us.
So that's William Morris Endeavor.
The agency approached us pretty quickly about wanting to sell it, but it's the classic Hollywood story of like we freaked out, we're like this is awesome, and then like 6 months later heard from them again. You know what I mean? And in those 6 months, I had moved to LA, and
Did
had-
everybody
and-
move to LA?
No, there was 2 of us.
You're
and
like,
started working
I'll
at,
scout it out for you guys.
Yeah, but so it's like we never knew. Yeah, you never really knew. And then like 6 months later, WME was like, okay, we're down to sell it. We'll set you up with some executive producers because you guys are nobodies, so you need a name attached, and that's where we.
And were
we
they
met with-
brutal with you guys? Like you guys are nobodies, so this, or did they treat you with respect? Or
It was Alec Botnick. He was great. He was just honest.
Yeah.
I always appreciate honesty. Of like he was like, yeah, you're not going to sell this, but if we attach someone, you can sell this. And it's like, okay, then yeah, let's attach someone.
Yeah.
And it was Allison Brie is who we met with, and we loved
Okay,
her.
yeah, because she
and
was in the first.
great.
Yeah.
And she came on board, and it was great to have someone that knows. Again, we're very green. We didn't know what we were doing, and she's been on Community and Mad Men, so she came on board.
And that just means when somebody coming on board, that means they're attaching their name to be in an episode or the whole.
It depends. I think it's completely dependent on the person. Allison Brie was more like she would be. The plan was she would come in with us to pitch places. So it's someone that they recognize,
Yeah.
someone they trust, someone they respect. She would like intro us, and we would probably pitch it. Luckily, we actually never. Our story is so annoying. We never even got that far. TV Land just offered us a deal as soon as they were.
Well, guys, it was a great podcast. We'll see you next time.
I know. We have the story that like my agent's always like, I wonder what you think Hollywood is like because it's not like this. Yeah, like TV Land offered us a pilot deal. They hadn't even met us, and it was like 2 weeks later. Like I was working at Whole Foods and got the call and like left Whole Foods as if like that was the end. Like literally packed.
Guys.
I was doing food demos.
You said goodbye to the DJ that works in Whole Foods and like, I'm out.
I was like at the Whole Foods in Santa Monica, and I remember doing food demos of fiber bars, which is all it was people talking about their bowel movements. But anyway, I like packed up my whole kit and like drove madly to the other Katy O'Brien, and we like met each other in the middle of the street screaming. And then like 9 months later, the deal was done. So it's like Hollywood just moves so slow. Like we got the call, TV Land offered us a pilot deal, but it took Yeah, it took 9 months. We then had to meet.
Yeah, you know, the excitement doesn't move slow. It's the actual then process.
Yeah,
like
the process moves
everybody's
really slow.
excited, and then you go into the minutia, and then everybody puts their like 2 cents in, and it just grinds to a halt.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so then everybody like that happened though. That meant everybody moved out.
Well, not right away because it was like so it took 9 months and we weren't sure. Like I remember like that was September and like I remember around Christmas people were like, "Are you sure you sold it?" And I was like, "Okay, I don't know."
Yeah, like that's like
maybe we didn't because it just took that long to negotiate the deal and it closed in like May, I think. So it was really like almost.
How
9
did you
months.
survive in that period of time?
Whole Foods.
Just you went back to Whole Foods?
Yeah, when I say I left, I mean I just left in the middle of my shift. I then came back the next day.
Okay,
Apologized.
let's say,
And I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. I just got really good news.
And by the way, Whole Foods has probably seen it all. They're like, let me guess, you sold your thing, and like it's now going to take 9 months.
Yeah. But then the Katydids all moved out here. Yeah, that kind of right before because it was a decision of like some of the girls never had any intention of moving to LA, and so it was that discussion of like, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to us, but what if just the pilot happens and then do I want to move out? So it was kind of a gradual. Some Katydids moved out right away when we closed the deal, and one Katydid who was an elementary school teacher waited till like the week before we shot the pilot to make sure it was real, you know, 'cause she wanted to finish out the school year, make sure it was really happening, because again, like there's so much you don't know, and now that I've kind of been through
And why
it,
would you know it? You know, like
Yeah.
there's not a manual that you get when you decide to be an actor in Los Angeles.
yeah. So, and then we made the pilot, and then
But so when you make the pilot, does that mean like the pilot you're doing a 22-minute single cam sitcom for
Yep.
TV Land? Who like you guys all wrote that pilot? Did you have a showrunner that you hired on the outside, and did you get to choose that person?
Yes, we had two showrunners who were Ian Roberts and Jay Martell.
Now, Ian Roberts is the UCB Ian Roberts, right?
Yes, he's one of the founders of UCB. And he's like, he's someone I like waited in line for hours to see at like Del Coast Marathon. So it was a dream. It was, I still remember Katy O'Brien and I went in to meet with Brad Gardner, who is our champion at TV Land. He's the one who found us. He's the one who has sold the show and championed the show and gives us our network. Like he's our savior. He's the one who like changed our lives. But we met with him and he was like, I'm going to set you up with Ian Roberts and Jay Martell. What do you think? And O'Brien and I were trying to play it really cool. Like, yes, like, we'll see. And then we went to the parking lot and just started screaming. Because, such fans of, and they were the showrunners of Key and Peele, we were like, huge fans of that.
But how do you know if, like, that is the good people for you?
Yeah, well, we met actually with a couple people, but they were kind of the comedy heroes. And it was very weird at first because they're both, you know, the Katydids, I don't know how to describe us. We're very feminine and they're very masculine.
Yeah, Ian Roberts especially is very masculine.
So it was like a thing of like, do they hate us? And then we're all friends. We know everything about each other. And, you know, the writer's room at this point, you know, will become just talking. And Ian's like, oh, God. You know, of like, Ian and Jay have kind of become the 7th and 8th Katydid because at this point I consider them family. But at first it was just, you know, it was a weird relationship that we could not be more different from them. But I think that's what makes the show great is that, you know, they bring a different perspective and kind of a experienced and a more male point of view. And then, but they give us a ton of freedom. Like they were great with the pilot. They kind of let us do whatever we want, but then would just constantly give their opinion. They constantly go, this is what I would do. You can do what you want. This is what I would do, but this is your show. So they were kind of the best showrunners because they guided us, but they never said, oh, you have to do it this, which I think a lot of people might just because they have a ton of experience. They have an Emmy.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't, but they never treated us, which is I think
as less than.
Less than. They always treated us as like, hey, we know what it's like to have, like Ian got, you know, UCB had their own show on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I know what this is like. This is your dream. So just do what you want to do, but I'll help you in any way. And he still does that. You know,
so it was just the 6 of you. I mean, 6 of you guys writing the pilot plus Ian and Matt, or
Ian and Jay.
Ian and Jay, sorry.
Yeah. And so we would write.
And how does that work with 6 voices?
Well, the pilot was like we didn't know what to do. So like I think what it was is we all kind of got together and brainstormed with Ian and Jay and brainstormed the story and kind of gave the story arc. But then it was, I can't remember anymore. I know Katy O'Brien and I wrote the first draft. So it's like, that's kind of what we've now done is 2 Katydids always now 2 Katyids are in charge of every script, but it's a different 2.
And that's
so
kind
I
of like
think-
how writers' rooms actually usually work. If you're
Yeah.
like, you'll have like 2 writers go out and write that, and then everybody will throw in.
Yeah, and then
on that
everyone.
first
So
draft.
it was. I think it was something like O'Brien and I wrote the first draft. 2 other Katyids. After we then showed it to the group, everyone gave notes. 2 other Katyids did the second draft, and 2 other Katyids did the third draft. So it was truly collaborative. Of like everyone had their say, their voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Did
it's
you
like-
ever feel? Did you ever feel like, when are people gonna find us out? Like they're like, I don't know. Like
You mean that we don't know what we're doing?
Yeah. Like, did you have that feeling
Oh,
along
for
the way of like,
sure.
holy crap, people are putting money into this. Like, when are they gonna find out that we can't do this?
Oh,
Like,
that's like every day. It's like every day. Yeah, because it's funny. Like it took us, I would say, through season 1 to have the confidence. We're all very opinionated, but everyone we worked with in the pilot in season 1 had so much more experience than us. So when someone's saying this is a really bad idea, I have lots of opinions, but I also am smart enough to know that like I've never done this. Maybe this is a bad idea. So we second guessed ourselves a lot, and I think, but at the end of season 1, we're like, wait, everything that I'm not super. Not super in love with about season 1 is the stuff we second guessed ourselves on. So it was a great lesson of season 2. We came in and we're like, no, we know what's funny, we know what we love, we know what we like. We might not know 100% how to execute it, and we need a lot of help and guidance with that. But it's been a great learning experience. Of like, Brad always says that he was like, I bought your voice. That's what I bought.
don't try to homogenize yourself to
Don't
be like
try to
everybody
so
else.
it's like it's and I think we've gained confidence of that. Of like, if we think it's funny, that's all that matters. Whether that's even true of what's aired. I'm really proud of this season, and all of us got really excited about doing this musical. We did a musical episode
Yeah.
of Teachers, and we loved it. It was the most fun to film. We had the best time. It got the worst ratings the show has ever seen. In fact,
People hate
our
musicals
our
unless
were,
it's Hamilton.
Our ratings were going up, like never before, and then they dropped dramatically within 5 minutes. I think it was something like an 80% drop off. TV Land now, Viacom now has a rule they won't do musical episodes based on our
Beautiful.
episode. But it was like couldn't be more of a crash and burn. But I still stand by, like, it was so much fun. Like, I won't do one again.
Well, I mean, you can't legally now.
You
Like,
can't. But, you got to stand by, like, so, like, yeah,
What-
you put it out there and, like, 90% of it works and then 10% doesn't. But
it's
that's
how you
okay.
learn from that 10%.
But that's okay.
Where has that confidence manifested itself in your career or personal life from there? Like, have you noticed changes, going into the 3rd season of like, I'm actually, I used to be a basket case when it came to these, and now I find myself like oddly looking forward to this. Is there any examples of that?
I think it's more just, like, I don't know about season 3. It'll be interesting at what happens with season 3 because there's just been some changes. But season 2, it was just more. I think as a person, I love collaboration. That's my favorite thing about this. I think the coolest thing about this opportunity is that I get to collaborate with, like, that's why I like
And new
theater.
people
I love
each-
theater because it was always an ensemble. I don't love theater because I like want to be the best actress or the best writer. I really love collaborating. So anyway, my natural tendency is to say, this is what I think, what do you think? Which can kind of give power away a little bit when you're leading and being the people in charge on set. So I had to kind of figure out a new way to approach things of like, I want everyone's opinion, but it is my decision and our decision in the end. And which is just like an adjustment of, I would say that's kind of how we approach season 2 of, I love collaboration. I want to have a director come in and hear their thoughts, but it is our show. So it's like it was a change in like, it wasn't necessarily a change in how I enjoyed it. It was a change in how I approached everything of like, you have to just be really careful of
giving away
power, of giving
that's
away,
amazing, yeah.
because that's kind of my natural instinct is to
Yeah,
give
no,
away all my
yeah.
power.
Well, because and also then once you do that, you can't. It's hard to get it back. You
It
know,
is.
like it's
Totally. And it's not, no one is ever trying to, I don't think season 1, anyone or any of the experiences we had were ever trying to like take anything away from us, but just naturally, everyone has an opinion, everyone's creative that you're working with. So if you are always like, this is what I think, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? Everyone's going to run with their own ideas. And it's hard to then go, whoa,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
So it's just been a lesson to like, as a leader and as being the person in charge on set to be like, the balance between like, making everyone happy and making sure people are heard, but also saying, nope, but we have final say.
So you filmed the pilot, and was that the one that did Richie direct that?
Yes, Richie
Keane,
Keane.
who's
Yes.
A big guy over at Leslie's.
Yeah.
And then who's one of your directors? I follow him on Twitter.
Jake
bald
Harrod?
guy.
Oh, Todd Bierman.
Yeah.
Or
No. I'm thinking
Payman
of
Benz.
Yes,
did
Payman. That's it.
Yes,
Payman.
yes.
So the first
Multiple
one,
balls.
Richie. Sorry, that's
Multiple bald
I'm like that's
directors.
horrible. I'm gonna edit out the bald thing. He's a full head of hair. It's a beautiful man.
Great.
So like, did you like so the pilot's written? Do you pick the director, or is like everything getting picked for you in terms
No,
of?
again, Brad has been great. He's let us have full control of, this. That's why it's like this is really a serendipitous dream experience of like, yeah, they let us. We met with like, I think 5 or 6 directors, and we loved Richie, and he was great. And I was taking classes at Leslie Kahn, so I had never met him, but I had heard about him.
Yeah.
And it also was great. It just made me feel more comfortable having a director that someone I know could vouch for. Leslie saying like he's great. All the other directors, I have no one who knows them. So
and he's so good at working with actors. He knows the language.
And it made me feel really comfortable because all the Katydids have kind of taken at one point or another Leslie Kahn. It made me feel comfortable, really safe on set with Richie that like I've never acted on camera before really at this level, and have a director that I know will like tell me if I'm not being authentic or if I'm messing this up. So he was really great.
So how it usually works is you film the pilot, and then if you got picked up to series, right?
Yeah.
And that was the same case as TV Land, or did you immediately get
No. I think it was like 2 or 3 months later that we found out that we were just kind of waiting.
So did you think after that pilot, what was the consensus with the Katydids? Was it like, we think this will go, or, well, that was fun?
I'm trying to remember. We didn't, it's weird because, TV Land was everything about our situation is unique because TV Land was rebranding. They had kind of older shows, and their demographic was older, and they were very clear from us in the beginning that they're trying to rebrand and be younger and edgier. So,
but isn't that interesting too? Is like kind of right place, right time.
Yeah,
almost like if
totally.
TV Land wasn't doing that, there might not have been a shot.
Right, 100%. Yeah. So like what we kept hearing is that it's like, yeah, you have such a good shot because this is exactly what they're like. I think TV Land was looking for unknowns, edgy comedies, and we knew they weren't doing
people
a ton
with the
of
same
pilots.
name.
People with the
looking
same
just
name.
for
So there was like everything saying this will go because they want, but
you
never really believe it.
Yeah,
You're always
it's hard
I bet
here.
they say that to everyone. Well, because the same thing happened. I've experienced both of after season 1, the Katydids sold a pilot to NBC. And it was a great experience in writing. It was great. But everyone kept telling us, just so you know, this will go. And then it didn't.
Yeah.
So it's like I've experienced both. You kind of never know who's bullshitting
Well,
you. Because,
it's a lot of
and not that
bullshit
anyone
going around.
was bullshitting, but just everyone's being optimistic.
Everybody wants
to
believe
optimistic.
it'll go.
Yeah.
So then you find out, what was that moment like when you guys found out? And how many episodes was the first season?
10.
10 episodes.
Oh, yeah, it was a dream moment. It was like
I was at Whole Foods.
It was one of those we were supposed to hear like on a Monday. Friday came, like Monday came, didn't hear. Friday came, like a whole week came, we didn't hear. And so all of us were really nervous. And so like a week or two passed when we were told you will for sure know by X date. And like a week after is when we found out. And we get like an email from Brad on like a Monday at 11 a.m. saying, hey, I want to talk to you guys today, all on the phone together. But I'm only available before noon or after 5. And so we were all texting, and all of us, it was like, before noon, we need to know before noon. And one Katydid wouldn't respond, Kate Lambert. And we were all like, I remember I called her mom, who doesn't live here. Like I called like her friend Jason Romaine, who I don't really know that well, and left a message going, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to find Kate Lambert. And it ended up 2 different Katydids on their own decided to drive to her. Caitlin Barlow tells the story that she drove to Lambert's house, and Katie O'Brien's car was on the curb with the lights on because she like had run up, and basically Lambert was asleep, and they were pounding on the door, and it was like 11:50 that they got her awake, and we called Brad, and he said, you have a series, and we all screamed. And then immediately met at Beechwood Cafe and cried together.
Oh my God! And then, so then you go into like 10 episodes. How long span of time was that shot over?
That's such a good question. I know the whole thing from writing to when we finished editing was like September to August, or like August, July. So I think we shot for like I think we wrote October to February, shot like middle of February to like May, and then we took 2 months to edit, and we were really
So wait,
involved.
you wrote from October to February? Okay.
And then I can't do the math on how long that is.
It's like 3-4 months. I don't. Yeah, I'm an actor.
I should
don't
know this.
Yeah.
And then we shot, and then the editing, we were involved. We were there every day editing. We're super involved with the post.
And they let you do all that because you're executive producers. You created that, but a lot of people, some people don't get that option, right? Like,
I think so. Yeah, we're really controlling.
What surprised you? What surprised you about that first season's process? What were?
Well, everything was. I always say it was like a master's class, and because everything was new. You know, whether it's writing, we had never written a whole series and trying to figure that out. Whether it's pre-production, figuring out like I didn't realize. It's so stupid to say this, but I didn't realize the amount of detail of like we have to approve every prop, you have to say what every set is, and just coordinating all that
and everybody has jobs that are
and trying to coordinate all of that and make sure we're all on the same page, and then just shooting. What surprised me is you think going into this, I was thinking like, oh my God, I can't, like I felt like acting would be the most enjoyable and that would be
the easy thing?
Or not the easy, but the thing I'd be most excited to do, or maybe what would take up a good chunk of the time. And it's really the least thing you do the least. And it's also not, I love it, but it isn't the most fun. The most fun is like, because anytime you're not acting, we're on sets giving each other notes or prepping another episode or trying to find a location. Like the majority of, and then when you're done, you're editing and trying to figure out music. And then even as much as, I think the number one lesson I learned, which sounds really weird to say, I don't have like a eloquent way to say this, but like I didn't realize how many times something could fuck it up. Meaning like you write it and it's great and you feel strong about the script. And then you're like, great, so it'll be good. And it's like, no, only if it's acted well and cast right and directed well. And then it's like, great, we did that, awesome, now it's great. And it's like, no, the wrong edit can fuck it up, the wrong music. Then you have the whole season done, and it's like, oh, if it's being marketed,
and then you have to depend on,
and no one watches it, then we don't get a season 2. Like I kind of didn't realize how
many variables all have to come together to actually make something just even.
Like nothing.
Even mediocre things, you have to have so many things come together, you know,
to get it to be even like fine, where I feel good, you know, like I hadn't realized.
How do you deal with that stress wise? How do you deal with that? Like, I mean, like, because it's like that seems like it could be maddening, like, because you can't be Stanley Kubrick about it, and like I want to take years to do this one season, you know?
Right? No, you can't be precious. You have to let it go. And it was the first season and season 2, because we then got 20 episodes, which season 1 was so fun. Because at the end of it, we're like, we got this. We know what to do now. And then you get 20 episodes,
like,
and it's like, holy fuck, we don't know what to do. Because it was doing 20 episodes in not the same amount of time we did 10, but not a ton. It was like 14 months it took us to do 20 episodes, like the whole thing, right? Shoot and edit. And, you know, I think we did 9 months or 10 months. So it was, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you suddenly get double the time. You have to now. So everything has to overlap a lot more.
And were you shocked that not shocked, but what was the feeling about the second season, and how quickly did you get picked up once the show started airing?
Well, we got picked up pretty quickly while it was airing, but we got pushed. So it was 9 months in between shooting. Like we ended season 1, and then they were like, we were supposed to air in the summer, and they said, no, we're not going to air till January. So then we had half a year to just wait till it even aired.
And you and were you able to do other things or audition for other things?
That's when we sold a pilot to NBC, and O'Brien Friedman and I sold a feature to Scott Stuber and Bluegrass.
Oh wow, Scott Stuber, he's huge. Wow, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, so you guys are all repped by WME. As the Katy did.
As a group, yeah.
And is there constant movement on other projects that you guys are always filtering through, or?
Well, not anymore, because season 2 season 2 was the last year and a half of my life, and it was all consuming. Season 1, I think we sold the feature while we were editing. Like we had free time, and you could do, and between season 1 and season 2, we did other things. But season 2, doing 20 episodes was so much work. I'm not kidding. We worked 7 days a week. It was so much that none of us have, like all other projects were put on hold, and there's no time to develop anything else.
But this is what I kind of, totally, and this is what I kind of want to, like, for the people listening, just, are you, just to dispel any myths, are you a gazillionaire?
No.
Yeah, right?
No.
You're not like
No.
completely rich right now. You're not like
I
on the
can't buy a home.
So you're not, I mean, who knows?
I could buy a home an
In,
hour
like, a
away.
different state.
I could get a great house in Kansas.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm saying?
totally, yeah.
So yes.
You'd
so
have to go
yeah.
past Magic Mountain to get something that you could live in, and
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But I always think that's always because that's sometimes a big myth of like people come here and they're
Right.
like, well, that girl has a TV show on a network thing, cable network that she should be loaded, right?
Right.
And that's not the case.
No, and I've made more money than I've ever made in my life. But no, I'm not like set for
Yeah,
life,
it's
or
like,
you know,
you
set
know what, guys,
for-
I'm gonna sit season 3 out. I'm gonna live off the season 2 money.
Yeah, or I'm not like I just bought a Hyundai Sonata and I'm super excited about
You
that.
that guy's Hyundai Sonata. That's the car that Puff Daddy was driving last year. So like it's good.
Yeah, and I was just looking at condos, and it's like that's about where I can afford right now is
Yeah.
a condo, which is great.
Which is
That's
amazing.
So
That is
exciting.
huge.
It's huge, but no, that isn't.
But for the amount that you worked, you said like 7, like
It was
that's
season
all
2,
consuming.
Season 1 and season 2 were very different in that. Yeah, season 2 was 7. It really was all consuming to the point where I think, like I will say, I think I sacrificed too much for it. It's very hard in this position of like I didn't have a life. I lost touch with some friends, and not that like nothing's you can reverse it.
Yeah.
But you end season 2 and go, whoa! I just spent 14 months working nonstop. Is that what I want my life to be? As
Well,
much
yeah,
as
how
this
important is a
dream,
personal life?
This is a dream job, and I want to embrace it because who knows how long it'll last or if it'll ever come again. Realistically.
That's totally true.
So, but it's hard when there's so much to be done on a show that you can work 24/7 and not get what you need to get done. So
How do you guys
So
divvy
I
up
think-
the responsibilities of the show?
we kind of by who wants to do it / who likes doing it. Like
Who's on craft service this week?
Yeah,
no, it's-
we do it different ways. I run the room, and some katydids are in charge of casting. And
But see, isn't that amazing that you actually you had that on the job experience that you will take on to your next thing, that you know
Yes,
actually how to run a
yes.
room?
Yeah.
Did you have any outside writers besides the 6 of you and Ian? And
we did. We actually no, that's not true. We had Jill Kargerman come in as a consultant for season 1, and then season 2 she came on as kind of a co-EP, and she kind of helped a little bit guide us through the process. She only did the first 10 episodes of season 2, and then she left. But she kind of helped guide us, and we gave our writer's assistant a script. But it's pretty much just us and Ian and Jay. And then this next season, Jay Martell was leaving because his family's going to South America for a year, which is really exciting for him. And one of the katydids is pregnant,
Yeah.
so we're down a couple people. So we're season 3, the first time ever, we're hiring writers.
Wow. And so you have to
Yeah.
interview writers, you have to read
Yeah.
their scripts, you
And
have to.
I don't know what they'll think coming into this room.
That's already so kind of well.
Yeah.
By the way, not even just 2 seasons established. You have a friendship that's
together
lasts so long.
8-9 years, and at this point, Ian and Jay both, but Jay is leaving. Ian feels like family, so I kind of feel bad for any writer who comes in.
Coming
I'm
in,
I don't
think about how they're it's going to be
it's not
intense
going
for
to
them.
be easy
yeah.
for them to be, and I'm aware of that. Of we just want this to be a good experience for them. But
Is this another 20?
season
Season 3?
another 20.
So
it's
I mean,
14 months. And when
so
we
that's
start,
what I'm saying.
it's
That's
14
so
months.
you're looking at down the barrel of most people's dreams, but at the same time, you know how hard it was.
Yeah.
That second, is there anything you're doing to protect yourself against that this time?
Well, that's the goal this year, that the katydids have all kind of had meeting of we can't have what happened last year happen again. Not that it wasn't great. I mean, I'm really proud of what we did, but everyone put work first, and I don't believe my philosophy in life is work isn't what makes you happy. I wasn't suddenly the happiest I've ever been. It's life that makes you happy, and people. So the goal this year is to we've got to, when we're writing, to have our nights and weekends free. Shooting, that's harder, but weekends free. And we all got to call each other out on nope, you're doing too much, take a step back. Will that affect the show? Maybe, probably. We did, the goal then would be to do less this year than we did last year. So it's there's part of me that's I have to be okay if if a script isn't exactly where I want it to be, but it's 6 p.m., I should go home and go to dinner with a friend or.
But see, I find this.
It's
this
hard,
is what I
though.
find. But
It's
this is what I
hard.
find fascinating. This is what I wanted people to kind of hear, is that this is the life.
Yeah.
This is where people want to be.
Right.
And you're literally saying I didn't see people for 14 months in a way,
Yeah.
and that's a really hard pill to swallow. On
Right.
top of. So and I also love the fact that you guys are selling things like the NBC pilot. So how often like how much time in your head are you spending creating other ideas? And
Well, like I said, this year, none. Like I had a goal this year of just for a personal goal, and I wanted to try to sell something on my own, separate. But there was no time for it. Like I like early in the season, like took a couple Saturdays to write some ideas down and send them to my reps. But then there was no other time. And then by the time we were done, my reps were like, okay, we can set you up with all these meetings. And I was like, I have no interest in working right now because we only had 6 weeks. We only had a 6-week break between season 2 and season 3. So I was like, I want to spend the entire 6 weeks not doing anything.
did that happen?
Yeah, I had to do some teachers. There's always stuff to do. But no, I didn't do anything. And I didn't do anything for
Did you do any vacations? Did you?
I didn't. I went to the East Coast and saw family and some friends.
Yeah.
I should have gone to Hawaii. I regret. But I think that's something like this year, because now we're in for 14 months. What we've said to each other is like, what we did season 1 and 2 is when we're doing teachers, no one does anything else. But I think this year it's like, no, if I miss part of the writing and go for 5 days on a trip, that's okay. Like there's 5 other people who'll be fine. Like we write
your part as like, you killed my character off. I left for 5 days. You killed me off.
Yeah. Like, so I think this year will be different. Like I think I might plan a trip in the fall. And just take a couple days off.
What's the likelihood of what you just said actually happening?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not going
it's
anywhere.
It's so hard because it's that struggle of like, this feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't want to fuck it up. I want it to go as long as possible. I want it to be as good as possible. But yeah, it is like, working 24/7 isn't good.
No, it's not good for. I mean,
it's not good
for creativity.
For creativity.
Yeah, supposedly, I hear that having a life fills you up artistically.
Yeah.
I just like the thought of like the first day back at the writers' room, and you guys are all just sitting like stewing, like. What? Oh God, that's gone so quick. Okay,
sorry.
no, this is awesome. I'm having a blast. So, as an actor, like, where are you? Like, because you're like, do you go out on auditions for other things, or is that just something like I'm not going to even bother?
I would like to go out. I don't get sent out.
Wait, are you kidding me? Like, you just don't get sent out, or like
I don't get sent out. I get it sent out on like 2 auditions a year for my reps. So I mean that's my fault, my representation's fault. Of like I would like to go out more. In their defense, they're always like, you're just never available. But I am available. There is things like, because it's as an actor, it's very weird to just play one part. And acting is such a small part of teachers. Like I'll do it. We film in this 14-month period. We'll film, I think, a total of like 5 months or 4 months, which is then the rest of the time I'm not acting. So
yeah.
I would love to go out more. I don't, which is crazy that is a lesson of like, yeah, my reps don't. I still don't have reps who will send me out, even though I'm on my own show.
But see, like that's what I'm talking about. This is like how crazy this town is that this is you're going into a 3rd season of a show that is like, critically acclaimed. Like you get decent ratings, you get all of these things, and like the whole thing you're told in Los Angeles is that you got to have something to tell people you're doing. Like this is the best thing to tell people you're doing, and like it's something to sell you so easily. You would figure for your reps.
Right.
But like, so is that something that you're going to push harder to do?
Yeah, well, I had a whole plan that in my time off between season 2 and 3, I would push really hard and demand that they send me out. But then when it turned out to be only 6 weeks, I was like, oh,
because it's work. Because then you have to prepare.
Work.
You have
so as much as I would love to do other things, just to challenge myself, also just to, I have a fear of teachers ending and teachers being my only credit, which is still wonderful, but I've only ever played Miss Snap then,
Yeah.
I in their defense, I didn't do that. I was like, I'm not going to. But I did send them an email recently that was like, we're writing till Thanksgiving. And I was like, if there's any guest star that comes up that wouldn't take me away from the room for like more than a week or more than a couple days, please, 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 I would like to be submitted. And I probably will push them this fall to be like, I can step out of the room for an audition. It's hard though, because I'm putting restrictions of like, it can only shoot like 2 or 3 days. It can't shoot.
Hey guys, before I start this audition, I need to just lay down some ground rules and then we'll go. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like this is just a pre-read. Yeah.
I'm gonna predict I won't really go out, but
Are you okay? So then, as an actor, to challenge yourself, is there something that you're giving Miss Snap this year to actually?
Well, I always try to write. I always try to write plots that like I love physical comedy, and I love anything. I'm a Lucille Ball fan of, like, I get anything that I have breast milk sprayed in my face, or running into a wall, or I crash through and destroy the school's butter churn, or anything that can get me doing anything physical, I love. So I write that. I also do classes at Leslie Kahn, because I think I try to stay with class as long as I can. I can't while we're shooting.
Yeah.
When we're not shooting, I try to be in class, because I think
And you were in
good.
Thursday night or Monday?
I'm
You were
in
Monday
Monday
night.
night.
Yes, Monday night.
Because I think it's good to be, as an actor, I believe in what Leslie says of, like, you have to be doing it all the time. You can't be, you can't act a couple times a year and then expect to be this amazing actor. It's a muscle that needs to be practiced. So I believe that. So I try to do it as much as possible in class. And also, it's just so fun to play other things, drama, multicams. Like, I want to keep my acting muscle strong. So I take class, and then I try to write snap into the craziest stuff, just because I like doing that. It's crying hysterically, screaming. My character is kind of mentally ill, because I'll write her going all over the place, because just that's what I want to do.
What's the worst part? What do you hate as an actor? Like, is there's like, oh, I hate like kissing scenes making me like, like there's always something like, I don't like drama, or I know what you love. Like, what do you hate?
Oh,
or
yeah,
what do you
I
not
hate
like?
anything sexual, which is crazy, because
Which,
play
by the way,
a slut.
yeah, and also Leslie is very like a big proponent of like kissing scenes, and she loves
I hate anything. This is a lot about who I am as a person, but it's like I'm just totally not comfortable in anything sexual.
That's Kansas, man. That's
yeah. And in fact, first season, that's like shows you how green we were. Is we wrote this episode where I'm like hooking up with the janitor, and we wrote all these scenes where I'm hooking up, and like it never dawned on me that I had to do it. And then we get on set, and we wrote it with Rob Corddry in mind, because he's like one of my comedy crushes. Of like, I love him. He's the best. He's brilliant. But then he actually said yes to doing it, because Ian, called him.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. But then it got on set, so it's like, not only do I have to do this, but I have to do it with Rob Corddry, who I kind of am in love with, and just completely respect and think he's amazing. So I was like a total mess, where the Katy did say that in some takes, like when we were editing, they kept being like, we can't use that take because that's Colloton, not Miss Snap. Like, because you would see me being like giggling or acting like a fool, and they were like, no, that's Katy, that's not Miss Snap, next take, take, because
wow.
I was so nervous. I freaked out. I have a whole story about that, because I freaked out. I didn't know how you do an on-screen kiss, if you're supposed to use tongue or not.
Yeah,
I asked like 5 people, and everyone told me a completely different thing. Someone was like, absolutely not. Someone was like, yes, if you don't, it's weird. Because my character is promiscuous. She would be aggressive.
Yeah.
So I freaked out, and everyone was like, just fucking ask Rob Corddry if he's comfortable. But I was not comfortable. So I went up, and I was so weird about it, because actually our director, Payman Benz, was like, Colloton, chill out. Just have a conversation with Corddry. So I went up, and I ended up saying something like, hey, I don't know, this is weird. I've just never kissed anyone. I don't know. Tongue, what do you think? And he ended up just going, whoa, calm down. We don't have to use tongue. And clearly thought I was freaking out about it, but I was just trying to ask if he was comfortable if I like licked his face and like, you know what I mean? Like went crazy. But he misinterpreted it as me saying like, I'm not going to do anything you don't want me to do. We don't have to use tongue. And instead of correcting him, I just walked away. And then I was like, I felt so uncomfortable the rest of the day of like, he thinks like I was like, I don't know what he thinks. But it was just weird, and I hated it. But as an actor, you should do it. You need to do it.
Wait. So what is the answer? Do you use tongue?
I didn't. I don't think I did. And I think I kept it really normal. And then afterwards was like, yeah, it would have been so much funnier if I'd been more aggressive. So I just cost the comedy because I freaked out. You know what I mean? If I had been, my character is that way. I think it worked what we did. But I had like wanted to kind of like paw him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't because I was too nervous.
Are you?
But that is the bad thing. Like that was wrong. Like, it would have been funnier.
No, it would have been like, and you kind of, but that's what, like, it's learning to find your voice within this process.
Yeah.
How involved are you in the casting of?
Yeah, we make the casting decisions. They have to be approved by our network. So there's a couple times where we've wanted to cast someone and Brad's like, no. But most of the time it's just our decision, and he lets us cast who we want. Yeah, so we try to get in as many friends as we can.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times.
Yeah, no, a lot of Leslie people. I know Lisa Linke was in an episode.
Yeah, she's been in 2, I think, maybe 3. I can't remember, 2 or 3. And then Hot Dad was from Leslie Kahn. I saw him in class. Ryan, I never know how to say Ryan Caltagirone.
Yeah, Caltagirone. Yeah.
And he was in class, and I just saw him and was like, he is Hot Dad. Because we were looking for a hot guy who was also vulnerable and sweet, and that's really hard to find.
Yeah, no.
They're all douches.
Yeah, so it's Los Angeles, yeah.
But we have, like, we try to get a friend in every episode. We are aware of the business of, like, the guest stars. We try to get some names. But if we can't get a name, we put a friend in.
How many people from Chicago are, like, clawing down your guys' door, like, from, like, the old...
We put a ton of Chicago people in. I don't know, I would guess at this point we've probably put 20 Chicago people in the show. You know, co-stars, because that's mainly what we write. But, you know, it's more fun on set if it's a friend, to be perfectly honest.
Do you guys still do live shows at all?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just time, and
no, I know.
We're
I didn't know if it was
so
one of those, like, it's like the state where they'll come together and like still do live events, or
maybe one day, not now.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm just giving you more things to do. Have you ever decided? No. So for people, I mean, it's really such a fascinating story, because it really is true that none of this you had planned.
Yeah.
Like,
no, none of it was. It was just happen. I mean, it's what kind of Leslie says of, like, you work hard and then you have to get lucky. You know, like, it was, we worked really hard, and we were always really hard workers in Chicago, but it was always just to get the next thing of, like, you need people at a show, or once the videos are doing well, that was fun. We can get attention if we do a web series. But there wasn't, like, some huge, we put ourselves together because everyone has X strength and this is going to work perfectly. It was really fun, so you keep doing it. And I do believe that if it's fun, people like it. You know, like, if they see you're having fun, and if they see that you're enjoying it.
You can feel that, yeah.
And if you're proud of it, you know, like, it doesn't mean it'll necessarily work. Like I said, the musical episode.
But you were proud of it.
I'm so proud of it. You know, like, I think you've got to always put out there. It won't always work, but if you're proud of it, if you think it's funny, if it's your voice and you're having fun, chances are people will respond. You know, not every time, but I just think most of the time people will like it.
God, yeah. Okay, well, this was amazing. Like, it's such a fun. Yeah, I'm so excited for you. I mean, I know you already did this, but it's it's just really cool. Like, it's a really cool story. So when are you guys on TV Land?
The second 10 episode air in November, but we don't have an air date. But it'll be sometime in November. But you can watch the first 2 seasons online on demand. Or in the TV Land app. We're not on Hulu or Netflix, but maybe one day. Yeah. But on demand and on the TV Land app, or iTunes or Amazon, you can watch the first.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. This was Katy Colloton. Please watch Teachers on TV Land. And thank you for listening. Look us up at lesliekahn.com. Thanks so much. Bye.